I was looking at a report, and it showed that Rwanda, and I was impressed to see this, Rwanda ranked 10th in the world in trust of politicians, well ahead of the United States and many other countries. And I said, this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And I also saw that many, and I think Kenya also was way up there, I saw that many African countries were pretty much high up there in public trust. Because I'm thinking if that continues, then people will have the patience to work with the leaders, knowing that gradually we will get there because we're on the right path. But as things get a little bit more complicated meaning that as we get more inter-African trade, or intra-African trade I meant to say, as we get more intra-African trade, and there's competition now within Africa, could we have other kinds of conflict, not physical violent conflict, but trade conflicts and things like that?
And in fact, we expect that. In fact, that is a very good kind of conflict, and we expect that. But it's not like the countries are sitting and say, okay, let's wait for us to integrate and we'll think of a way to adjudicate. As we speak, there are structures within SADC, within Eastern African Community, within ECOWAS, structures that are being created that will minimize these non-tariff barrier issues, so to speak, and also to adjudicate the challenges that come out of trading difficulties. I have a problem in Kenya to bring my goods to Nigeria because Magnus has done X, Y, and Z. I can take him to court in his country and the adjudication will be in my favor. There are also instruments around arbitration which don't necessarily take you to court. And all our sub-regions, SADC, COMESA, ECOWAS, East Africa, have these instruments. They're fledgling, but they're coming up. Let me stress this. In my minimal experience, but in everybody's knowledge, every businessman wants predictability, which means you have to have a governance structure that enables the person who buys or sells to say, I can get justice if what I'm doing here doesn't go the right way. So the most important thing for all of us Africans to put in place is an independent judiciary that is incorruptible and structures that can enable quick dispensation of justice. If I have a problem in Kenya and I find it very difficult to resolve, I'll say, why should I put my money here? If today in Nigeria I come with my $100 million investment and I have a challenge, and I have a challenge with Mr. X, and the courts can't adjudicate at all, or there is, because of systems which are not predictable, I cannot get an outcome quickly. My quick moves will be to diminish my footprint in that country and eventually move out and come in again almost as a lesser partnership without the heft that my dollars will bring. And that's not what we want.
Next, we have Ambassador Daniel Njuli with his perspective on the competitiveness and integration issue in Africa. Ambassador Njuli is High Commissioner of Tanzania to Nigeria. Are there too many countries in Africa? We seem to be the most fragmented if you look at the continents of the world. You know, we've got 54 or so countries. You have to get the requirements you have to go from one country to the other. Is that why? Is that one reason we have problems? Too many countries?
I don't know.
Poor countries?
You know, those are all these are colonial relics. You know, they subdivided us into small countries. Some of them which cannot be economically viable as such, but still they're there. Now, that's why the whole idea of Pan-Africanism and Pan-African spirit to unite the African countries into one global United States of Africa.
And that's what regional cooperation is supposed to help resolve, so that you can freely go to countries without going through visa requirements.
That is very true. That's very true. So it's very important to therefore make sure that the regional corporations, the ECOWAS, the SADC, the East African Community, the Maghreb, and whatever, are strong enough, so that ultimately the political federation might come to Africa.
With your great wealth of experience and background, what general thoughts do you have for Africa in terms of Africa rising? What are some key things that you would want to see our leaders do, practitioners do, business people do, to be sure that in fact we stay on a stable path in the so-called Africa rising pathway?
Number one, there has to be a political will by the African leaders, by African presidents, to bring about change in their own countries, to bring about development in their own countries. That is, they have to put the interests of their people before self-interest.
Absolutely.
That's number one. If that is done, you wouldn't get into these conflicts which are taking place in Burundi, in some other parts of the world, of Africa. You see, put people's interest first. Number two, as I pointed out earlier, we have really to restructure African economies. We have to restructure African economies. We have to produce what we consume and export what is in excess but certainly we have to restructure African economies. Without restructuring African economies, we'll continue to be producing what we do not consume and consuming what we do not produce. We have to restructure African economies. And in addition to restructuring African economies, value addition should be taken on board. Everything, even those that we want to export to Europe, should have some value addition, so that it can fetch more and we can get more money for the development of our people. And finally, I would like to point out that the African economic blocks have to really be serious. They have to, because some of these economic blocks, they have lots of squabbles within.
Absolutely.
And therefore, if that continues to be to go on, then it will not be possible for a globalized integration of Africa. You see?
Finally, we conclude our discussion with Honorable Henry Bayanzaki, a cabinet minister in the government of Uganda. And there's attention being paid to Africa now, from across the world, from China, the United States, from Europe. Can we handle the world this time so that we don't become what we became during the time of colonialism? Can we handle the world?
The strength of Africa is in its unity. The only reason why Africa were managed were because we were the partition of Africa. We have smaller states that are weak. You have smaller states, you have like Rwanda, a weak state, Burundi, a weak state, Uganda, Kenya. It was fragmented. And because Africa was fragmented, states were weakened. Because states were weakened, we were easily conquered. So it's high time that Africa will come back together. We have the United Africa. We make the vision of Kwame Nkrumah a reality. Much as we cannot achieve it overnight, but we should take advantage of these economic blocks that we are having, the ECOWAS, the East African Community, we have the SADC. So we first build these blocks together. Let's have the intertrade. There is more business within Africa than Africa trading with China, than Africa trading with America. So let's have an intertrade. I can't imagine coming from Uganda to Nigeria that I have to pass in Europe first to come in. What a mess. I can't imagine that I cannot cross Congo, my immediate country neighbor, that I have to go to Europe first in order to come to Congo. That's a mess. We need to develop the infrastructure in Africa. An infrastructure in Africa that will serve the whole of Africa. Let's have a railway from Mombasa to the coast. Let's have one from Cape Town to Egypt. Let's have from West Africa. Let's have a railway system that I can, if I'm going, for example, to Kampala, I could have gone with a swift railway system. So we need to invest in infrastructure. Look at the potential of Africa in energy. If Africa developed its energy potential, we would light the whole world. Look at the potential in the Congo River. Look at the River Nile. Look at the potential of River Nile itself. Look at the fauna and flora that we have in Africa. So Africa, we need to unite. We need to plan together. And actually, I would even been happy if instead of having the global plan, we have the Africa plan. So the African plan, we are now coming up with the African Union. So once we have the African Union, the issue that now the African Union, the vision of the African Union is 2060. That is too far. The world is moving very fast. The world left us a long time ago. So we need spirit. Our plans, we need spirit. And the East African Union needs to translate itself into an economic powerhouse rather than translating itself into a geopolitical alignment. So you cannot have a geopolitical alignment, political. It cannot serve the interests of Africa. We cannot be on the same pace with America. We need to have the economic powerhouse. Let's have an unity based on economy to galvanize our potential. We develop our mineral potential. The mineral potential of Africa is in trillions of dollars, not in billions of dollars. Yes. When we are talking about oil, everywhere, the oil is getting depleted. The resources are in Africa. Diamond is in Africa. Gold is in Africa. Iron ore is in Africa. Talk of any mineral, you will find it in Africa. Any deposit, the biggest deposit is in Africa. Talk about whatever you talk about. Anything you want to talk about, it's in Africa. So let's Africa unite. Let's plan together. Let's end these useless wars.
On that note, Honorable Minister, I want to thank you so very much for coming to see us.
Thank you.
Extraordinary.
Thank you very much.